Hello, Red Thread people. It's me, Jackson. I'm here with Isaiah and Caleb. No funny, cool, interesting, twisty intro this week, sadly. It's already a long document that we're going to be going over here, so I figured putting more time into, a long-winded intro, especially for a topic like what we're going to be covering today, probably wasn't in the best interest. So skipping that, we're just going to talk about the topic because it is a more serious topic. We've got a few weeks talking about silly, goofy things, and the people want more serious things now. We're taking a turn into some more serious topics.
Why?
So beats me. It's just what the comments tell me, Caleb.
Oh, okay.
I like Jackson just being passively annoyed, like, well, Caleb, I don't know. Let's find out. Why are we?
Let's find out why people want us to be depressed.
Yeah, dude.
Why they hate us so much.
So this week we're covering NXIVM, which is a cult, a modern cult that I found out about a few years ago. I don't know how mainstream this is. I don't know if you guys know much about NXIVM, but I actually heard about it on Reddit, of all places, specifically on an r/relationship advice subreddit, because someone asked about how they could kind of get their spouse out of the cult. That was my first foray into it. Yeah, like their spouse had been kind of incumbent into this sex cult. And they were like, how do I get her out? Like, how
long ago was that?
How do I get her out? This was like 2018.
Is it?
I think
that is horrible information.
Is it still a thing?
No,
is this cult still a thing, NXIVM?
No, it's done. So I take it you guys haven't heard of it then?
No, I have. I have heard of it. Yeah.
I'm familiar with it. I just thought this was long gone.
NXIVM.
No, I think it like ended in like 2016 maybe. I want to say. Okay. He went to the guy. We're jumping right to the end, but he did go to jail. The person in charge of
bleep that. Bleep that.
Yeah, we need to keep the narrative structure of this episode intact.
Yeah, we can't let people know true story.
NXIVM. Yeah. All right, who wants to start this bitch off? This sex cult off.
I'll start the bit.
Start swinging, Jackson. I'm excited.
Start swinging on this bitch.
Look, to give us a quick little intro story, because we didn't get one. You're in a dark room and you're Jeffrey Epstein. Only, just kidding. Yeah. No, you're not. You're Caleb. You have a gun. You shoot Jeffrey Epstein, which in turn also kills you. It's symbolic of like the Ouroboros and the cycle and all that.
Oh, right.
So yeah, you go ahead.
Caleb,
I don't get it.
Got it.
I don't get it.
Really, everyone wants to work on improving themselves. The idea of taking courses and classes in personal development is not new. We see it all the time on YouTube. You know, what was that guy with the car in the garage? And
Ty Lopez.
And stuff?
I'm here in my garage.
Yeah, we see it all the time. We see it all the time. People want self-help. Today, there are thousands upon thousands of small to large businesses that advertise their services to help you become the best person you can be, whether it be financially, personally, in business, or even in your private relationships. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's storms and manipulative, coercive, and exploitative practices. Enter the topic for today, a dark story about a cult operating publicly as a self-help service, a charismatic leader at the forefront, and a world of abuse and crime behind the scenes. This is the dark story of the
Scientology
self-serving cult NXIVM. Oh. Did they bang at Scientology? Yeah, surely, right? I don't know.
No, they never did anything sexually inappropriate ever, Jackson.
Yeah.
Surely there would have been more would they have been shut down in that case? I thought it was more like financial stuff.
They got huge from Dianetics, which is like self-help. It's like
they're all built on this.
Weird. Genius.
That's what got them the big kick in the first place. But they all have problems, but nothing openly known, at least as much as NXIVM, because some stories of NXIVM are pretty gross, but we love gross stuff here. I mean, not
that's
that
what
it happened,
I
but
don't
we like
remember
talking about it.
the same level of stories about sex abuse at Scientology as NXIVM. I'm sure it still exists at Scientology, but not so much in the forefront.
At least not publicly known
Yeah.
as much. Yeah.
The Scientology is mostly just like allegedly indoctrination stuff and like violence and neglect and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And financial stuff, of course.
Yeah.
There's that one story, that girl getting ate up by cockroaches. I forget the details, but
What did you just say?
there's this lady who, like, I forget the specifics of it, but again, allegedly, she was like, it was some kind of therapy the cult was having, or the Scientology Center was having.
And she ended up being left in a room for a couple weeks and had cockroach bites all over her.
I forget the specifics of it, but it was pretty sad.
I didn't know they could bite.
That's awful. Yeah, they can bite.
I mean,
The big ones
yeah,
can.
they sure can.
They got teeth. They got little mandibles or something.
Mandibles. I used to have pet hissing
Oh,
cockroaches.
she died. That's right. Yeah,
Ooh.
Lisa McPherson. I remember that. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cockroaches killed her, or something else.
This is about an unrelated thing. She was in a car crash.
Okay.
She came out of the car. She seemed unharmed. She removed her clothes in the street. Paramedics transported her to a hospital.
In order to avoid psychiatric interventions, local Scientologists convinced her to leave the hospital and seek care at a nearby church of Scientology. There she was held against her will for 17 days without any medical care, while her physical and mental condition deteriorated, and she died.
Wow.
Jesus.
And I remember there's this whole thing about she had like connections to Scientology members, so it's like they were wanting to cover something up, and she was fine. Yeah, like the whole big story. So there's a bunch of stuff like that with Scientology, but nothing at least again known.
They're still evil. They're still incredibly evil. An evil organization.
Allegedly in Minecraft, hypothetically.
We'll cover them someday.
The IRS officially recognizes them as a religion, and they don't have to pay taxes on their land. So
Yeah.
they can go fuck themselves, as far as I'm concerned, because I have to pay taxes.
Yeah, because they're co-opting religion
Mhm.
as a concept. It's evil. It's fucked up.
Yep. Fuckers.
All right. Where did it begin, Isaiah?
Let's go. So
Let's start. And to clarify, this is about NXIVM, not Scientology.
Yeah, we'll cover Scientology down the line and their cockroaches and stuff.
yeah, and Caleb will be responsible for it, and I'll have nothing to do with it. Let's start on August 26th, 1960, with the birth of a man named Keith Allen Raniere, however you pronounce that.
Raniere,
Born to advertising executive James Raniere and ballroom dance instructor Vera Oshipko. Is that right? Probably Oshipko.
Yeah.
Keith had a relatively normal childhood living in New York. In later interviews with Keith's
Ex-girlfriend, it was revealed that Vera suffered from a heart condition
and battled alcoholism throughout Keith's childhood. This may have been one of the reasons for the breakup of his parents' marriage, with James and Vera getting a divorce when Keith was 8 years old. Keith attended the public Suffern High School in New York until the 9th grade, where he moved to Rockland Country Day private school, also in New York. It was a college prep school costing tens of thousands of dollars to enroll in. Growing up, his parents always doted on Keith and would comment on how smart he was.
At the age of 12, he read the novel Second Foundation by Isaac Asimov.
The third book in a series about the rise and fall of a galactic empire and the dark age that could possibly follow its collapse. The novel contains significant mind control themes throughout and characters that themselves possess mind powers. We won't spoil the book, but it raises questions on control and the morality of influencing other people for the greater good. From a young age, this novel stuck with Keith. The idea of influencing people's minds and controlling their actions was something that was captivating to him during his childhood, and these themes, motivations, and ideas
would later inspire what would become NXIVM.
Something seemed changing Keith as he became a young adult. He struggled his way through university, failing classes and scraping by with a 2.26 GPA. James and his later partner Barbara described it as if a switch was suddenly turned off overnight.
That's called golden child syndrome or something, isn't it? Where like you overaccomplish during like school and you're given all these like titles of being like a genius or whatever, and then once you become more of an independent adult, as soon as you face like one setback, you just crumble because you
check out.
Yeah, you're failing to be the person that you had always like been told you were, and it just compounds that pressure, and you start to have an identity crisis almost. It's a wide.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of people, I think, especially if they were only doing it in the first place for validation.
Yeah.
When they become independent, they kind of lose it.
It's like burnout.
Like burnout, yeah. He became arrogant and superior, like he purported himself to be better than everyone else, and he looked down upon those around him.
Keith began to isolate himself, and
The seeds of a master manipulator were planted. His parents would overhear him talking to girls. Every one of them got the same spiel. I love you. You're the special one. You're important. You're the only one in my life, and I love you. The lies themselves weren't particularly concerning. It was the comfort and ease with which Keith seemed to embrace these manipulations. What made the situation more interesting was that, while you could call Keith many things, you definitely couldn't call him stupid. Although criticized for its proper validation,
Keith achieved high scores on something called a mega test.
Mega test.
What? And
very creative and unique name.
His own. He's the creator of the mega test as well. Let me guess.
Yeah, he made the mega
The
test.
genius behind the mega test.
We should take the mega test. We should find it and take it down the line.
And take it, see how
who
good
scores
we
the
do.
highest. Yeah.
Created by psychologist Ronald K. Hoffman in the 1980s, the mega test was designed to measure high levels of intelligence even further beyond typical IQ tests.
It was often used for those seeking to join high IQ societies, including the self-named Mega Society.
I've made a special test, and if you do good on it, you get in my special club.
Yeah, that's not cultish. It's just an
His
entrance
score
exam.
was, it's really funny how that's worded, even beyond IQ.
Yeah, we've even smarter than Einstein because he never took a mega test.
His score was reported in the Times Union paper in 1988, where he was literally called 1 in a million due to his success with the test and being a member of Mega Society.
A quote from a Times Union article in 1988.
He's a member of Mega, a high IQ society with a minimum requirement at the 1 in a million level. Actually, the 27-year-old Troy resident is an even more exclusive category. By answering correctly all but 2 questions on a 48-question self-administered test, Raniere moved up to the rarefied 1 in 10 million level. Okay. Well, for one, it's a 48-question test, and that's like all that it is.
How much
it's
can you
48
determine
question
on
test.
that, really?
And if you miss 2, you are now in the super high-stakes Costco membership club, where you're
What's
1
this-
in 10 million.
You're the Jesus.
What does self-administered mean here? Like
That
you just
means
take it on your own?
I took it and I got all of them right, actually.
Yeah, okay. So fucking what? Why is this an article? I could say that.
So I'm the 1 in 100 million.
what is this
myself.
article?
Self-administered prostate exam.
I actually self-administered the mega test, and it told me that my mom, that your mom likes me more than she likes you, actually.
I actually wouldn't be surprised.
I actually took the test, and it said that your mom loves me, and that she's leaving your dad for me, actually. So
Okay.
What is
that's
happening?
That's what the
Why?
test says.
Is that what
not
you
at
stealing my
not at
mom?
you.
That's the
Not
mega
at you
test.
stealing my mom,
specifically.
Isaiah? Are you
sure the
that
mega
was
test
more
said
so
that?
just.
Leave her alone.
I'm pretty sure that's what it said. I mean, I
you sure?
self-administered it, so I think I know. I think I can read my own test.
It came to
Caleb.
me in a vision.
I'm pretty sure that's what it said. So I'm
stealing all
starting
our
a
moms.
religion now based off me and your mom.
Can I join
Sort of.
immediately, Isaiah?
No,
Aw.
because I looked at my mega test and it said
Aw.
you absolutely cannot join.
Aw.
Stealing mum should be a crime.
Yeah, well, I looked at my mega test and it's not. So grow up. Actually,
I
By
hate
God.
being born with such a low mega IQ.
Yeah, I looked at my mega test and said you should probably kill yourself. Actually. Anyway, I initially believe that the Mega Society could be a scam or more of a Scientologist style cult in and of itself, but there were reportedly no entrance fees or dues. However, due to the nature of Ronald K. Hoffman
Going on to create other societies, such as the Prometheus Society.
Top 1% Society, 1 in 1,000 Society,
This guy's a fucking narcissist.
Epimethus Society, and the Omega Society.
Ooh.
I'm not particularly willing to accept that this wasn't some kind of scam.
No, the Omega Society sounds so cool. I want to join that one.
Mega test.
Where's the Sigma Society?
In the 1980s, Keith worked within a company called Amway, an American MLM or multi-level marketing company.
Amway was founded in the late 50s and is one of the largest MLMs in the world by revenue.
They reported nearly $9 billion of sales in 2019. They sell a bunch of home goods and beauty products, from skincare to cookware, but it has come under heavy scrutiny publicly for being a pyramid scheme, with the company being found guilty of illegal business practices in India in 2021. For a refresher, pyramid schemes work primarily by making money by recruiting new members and not by selling actual products or services.
They are doomed to fail, relying on the constant recruitment of new members to keep afloat.
Money flows from the bottom of the pyramid up to the top. They're also very deceptive, promising exciting opportunities. Many of these insidious schemes prey on new mothers, advertising the ability to work from home, playing on their desperate need to provide for their families, while requiring them to make investments into the business. Many don't see any return on their investments. With the knowledge he learned in Amway, Keith went on to create his own MLM he called Consumers Byline Incorporated.
Terrible name.
Any company with like a generic name like that is immediately like a
Terrible
pyramid
name.
scheme.
Yeah,
Yep.
fucking terrible name, dude.
Consumers Byline.
Consumers Byline.
Yeah.
This is Keith speaking.
Sounds like it
That's
was
pretty
thrown
funny.
out by AI. It sounds like
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, it's
generated
not.
by AI.
You might as well call the company Buy Stuff Here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Consumer marketplace.
Consumer marketplace of ideas.
Yeah.
If you're not going to put any effort into your name, I can't take you seriously.
Reading
You're
knowledge.
obviously a scam.
I have
That's
more
my
money
idea.
than
This
you
is
do,
idea.
Incorporated.
I have more money than you do. Give me all your money, Inc.
Big
You're-
Mega
you're-
Score Inc.
Your mom and I.
No.
Here we go with the mums again.
LLC.
No.
Isaiah.
Leave the mums
Stop.
alone.
You're,
I'm a mama's
my
boy.
mom and me when your mom.
Are you saying all of this because you know we have a big mum audience? That's
my
it,
mom,
isn't it? You're trying to
and
appeal to the mum audience.
You and my mom, no, your mom and me, LLC. That's it.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm a mama's boy, remember?
So,
I looked at your mega test and it said you actually cry and piss your pants a lot. So.
sorry.
Fuck you! Stop reading my mega test! I gotta retake it.
That's meant to be confidential.
I gotta retake it. Next time I get to self-administer.
The voice is so good with it. Stop reading my mega test.
Stop reading my mega test! Isaiah!
Like nerd voice pushes up glasses. Like,
Why I oughta.
stop hitting me with the lead pipe, please.
Do you work for the base department? That's what my mega test said.
My mega test has depicted me as the Chad Wojak and you as the Soy Wojak.
My mega test says I need to stock up on Soylent. Tom's coming this weekend. He'll bring some Soylent.
I'll bring some Soylent. Yeah. The supposed idea behind the company was to give its members savings on household items and services.
In exchange, those involved were required to pay a membership fee and recruit new people into the company.
Initially, it was looking very successful, with the company gaining thousands of members, all actively recruiting more members and paying large account establishment fees themselves. However, it quickly faced legal backlash and was accused of being a pyramid scheme. Several states began to investigate the company, arguing that the company solely relied financially on gaining new members and not by sales or products or services, thus making it an unsustainable and deceptive business predating on unaware people.
A cult member predating on the unwitting? Never. Couldn't imagine.
No, couldn't be. Doesn't make sense. Why would they do that?
The state of New York filed a lawsuit against the company and successfully pressured Keith into closing the company. He adamantly refused to admit guilt, but he did agree to pay a $40,000 fine. Ultimately, he only paid $9,000 though, while actively
what the
boasting of his multi-million-dollar net worth.
This guy's a fucking dick. Shithead.
Yeah, what? Why are these scam artists and bad people getting tax cuts, but not us?
Yeah.
Huh? $40,000?
Well, for one, it's because they know how to play the system. But also, if it was a fine, he probably did some deferment thing where he was able to get out of it or something like that. It's also just objectively funny that both of you all got upset over $31,000 in unpaid legal fees. When I once again remind you, this is a predatory sex cult.
Well, I'm pre-gaming on the anger.
It's
I'm
just
pre-gaming
setting
on
it
the
up.
anger.
He's just a dick.
Yeah,
This guy's a dick.
There's more anger to come. Don't worry.
I looked at my mega test and said my reason for being mad is actually better than your reason for being mad.
Good luck with that one.
He's got the mega test on his side, Caleb. We can't do anything.
This guy's fucking. I think this guy invented the mega test. What the fuck?
Look, I've got the whole Excel spreadsheet pulled up. Like you can't work around me.
He's got the answer key.
I know this
Jackson.
He's got all the mums.
Key. I'm seeing all the numbers.
He knows the pattern. It's ACB.
This business adventure was a complete bust, and he was banned from creating any similar company.
But the whole thing wasn't a complete failure to Keith, as he met someone who would eventually become his other half.
A woman named Toni Natalie. Bum bum bum. So,
Isaiah, wait, no, you were just talking. Caleb, let me ask you the question, Caleb.
Okay.
Who is Toni Natalie?
Described in her Instagram bio, Jackson, as a whistleblower, survivor, and author, Toni has lived a remarkable life. Similarly
That's what mine
to
says,
Keith.
too.
That is what yours says? Is that what the fucking
That's what
mega
mine
test
says.
says too, Isaiah? Toni also grew
It
up
says all
in
this
New
in the
York.
mega test?
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Yeah. It's like a fucking, I don't know. And it's like an Elder Scroll.
It is 48 questions and you know everything.
Oh my
It's
God.
incredible.
This guy's got so much knowledge. He's been blinded. She was an entrepreneur and owned health food stores, which aligned with her interests in wellness, health, and personal growth. It might have felt, however, that her growth had stalled in the 1990s. She was in a disintegrating marriage and was looking after her son, who suffered terribly from epilepsy. This was a vulnerable time for Toni. She was stressed, her life was being torn apart, and she felt powerless. This left her an easy target for Keith, who recognized her unique weakness and used them immediately to his advantage. His weaknesses.
Just real quick.
Plural.
Just real quick. Don't
Yeah?
you feel like most people who make like health food stores, like these organic health food stores, are a bit sketchy?
No. Not really.
I feel like I've seen a pattern with a lot of these health food stores, like these organic
Yeah.
health food stores,
Hey, man.
like having weird dudes at the top.
Yeah. You want to buy some raw goat milk from my tiny fridge, man?
Didn't you say there was a cult that you know personally, Caleb, in that kind of field?
Yeah, but it's not like a store, though. They make a product.
Yeah, that's what I meant though. Like similar.
I see what
just
you're saying.
in that general vibe.
I'm thinking just
theme.
like the local health food store, and it's just a really old, nice lady.
No. Those people are alright. Those people
Okay,
are
yeah.
alright.
I was close to just being like, I am on your side. Fuck them. You know what? Fuck 'em. No, I'm just kidding. You can say
No.
that. But, Toni heard about the company Consumers Byline Incorporated through a mutual acquaintance she knew and thought the discounts the business offered could greatly help her own health businesses. Toni was, by all means, enchanted by Keith. His charismatic and magnetic energy drew her into his world, and when he promised to help her personally and professionally, she believed him. Toni and her then husband eventually became one of the top sellers within the company, and Toni ended up moving her and her son to New York to be closer to Keith and the action within the company itself. Oh, I see. Move closer to Keith and the action in the company. I get it. Her husband was left behind, and eventually the marriage existed only in name. It was not long after that the pair filed for divorce. Hearing the news, Keith swooped in, and he and Toni began what would be an 8-year-long relationship. Wow. Very healthy. That's good.
Yeah, seems good.
They broke up in 1999, with Toni revealing later the extent of the harassment she was enduring from Keith during their tumultuous relationship. In 2019, she released the book, The Program, Inside the Mind of Keith Raniere and the Rise and Fall of what is it? NXIVM? NXIVM?
Nexium.
NXIVM. where she gives a personal account of her experience within NXIVM and how abusive and manipulative Keith was, and how ultimately she managed to leave the group and him. Interesting.
All right.
Poor gal.
So she was a survivor. Yeah, she was someone who was
cult.
intimately tied with Keith at the beginning of the formation and was there during the early days, but then I guess left him and the cult, and now it's kind of like she talks about it. She's a survivor. Yeah,
that's cool. Whistleblower.
So that's probably where we get a lot of the early information from as well. She's probably a primary source on that front. Next, we're going to find out about another founder of NXIVM, Nancy L. Salzman. But before that, just a quick break to hear from the sponsors of this video. A big thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode of Red Thread. Rocket Money is the absolute best way I've found myself to cut back on subscriptions and lower those hefty bills each month. It's the all-in-one personal finance app that helps you save more and manage your money better. For me, the best feature is absolutely the subscription management whole thing it does. I had so many subscriptions I had just completely forgotten about, and that's just wasted money going to, sleazy corporate execs instead of staying in my bank account where it goddamn belongs. Rocket Money identifies all recurring subscriptions in your bank account, and from there, you can easily select and cancel the ones you don't want anymore. It's that easy, and it saves you money. On top of that, it's the same concept with their bill lowering tools. It scans your bills and negotiates a lower rate for you, from internet service to cable and phone bills. You get those down to the absolute lowest, and now you're saving potentially hundreds of dollars a month that you were just giving away before to these, again, sleazy companies. So save more and spend less. Join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/redthread or click the link in the description, it'll be down there, to get started for free. Thanks to Rocket Money for saving us money. Thank you to you guys for checking them out. It helps out the show so much, so big thank you. And now, back to the episode. And back in. Now let's find out about
the sponsor
Nancy.
For this episode of Red Thread.
Go to megatest.com/redthread to find out how you can take all moms. Just like Wendigoon.
I unironically found the mega test.
Oh, okay. What are the questions
ironically
like?
Found the mega test. I know I've been joking a lot, but okay, so the first 24, I'll just read it. For the first 24 problems, write the word or prefix that best completes each analogy. So for example, in the analogy, taste is to gustatory as smell is to olfactory. So hot and cold would be pyro and blank. So if something's hot, it is pyro, where if it's cold, it would be cryo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first 24 questions are like that. It says shoe is to cobbler as barrel is to blank.
Cooper.
Is that actually? There's no answer here.
Yeah, Cooper.
So
Cooper's
you're the expert though, Wendigoon. Isaiah, you're the expert.
I'm administrating. I can't give you all the answers. What are you talking about?
Well, this isn't fair. We're meant to self-administer. You send me the test results, and I'll tell you how I did.
No, that's not. You clearly do not know how cults work, Jackson. I tell you how this works, and you listen.
Damn it!
Night is today, as nocturnal is to. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, diurnal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see now. I would think night is to nocturnal as day is to whatever. Sure, same thing. Whatever. God is to theology. Wait.
It says God is to theology as
why, if God exists, there is evil is to what? That doesn't make sense.
What? So it's asking for the other concept, like the reverse concept of what you just said?
Yeah, but it's a full sentence. It's not just the word God. It's like, why, if God exists, there is evil. And then a bunch of them are like dimensional questions. So you get to the nearest percent, the probability that any one person selected at random was born on Monday is 14%.
What is the probability?
To the nearest percent that of any 7 persons chosen at random, exactly one was born on Monday. So you get stuff like that a lot.
Is the answer also 14%? Or is it 10%?
No, I don't think it would be. I think it would be... Right now, 1 out of 7. Then it would be 14%, I would think.
I think I'd be better at the mini test. I can't take the mega test. It's too complicated.
Mega's too big for you.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't understand, would you? That's why.
Do Do you know if you have like a time limit on the test, or could you just like sit there for a week and really go over it?
I'm actually on the Mega Society's website right now. And it says at the present time, the only tests accepted are these 5 tests, and the Mega test is one of them. And it says the Mega Society accepts only the qualifying scores listed here for admission purposes. Please do not submit applications based on any other test scores. So if they just want your scores, then I'm going to email them right now and say I got all of them
48.
right.
You got them all
All
right.
them right. I actually own your organization and your mom now. So
I am the Mega. Okay, so Nancy L. Salzman. Before we dive deep into NXIVM, we need to introduce a woman named Nancy Salzman, one of the pivotal figures of what would become NXIVM. Alongside Keith, Nancy was one of the key influences behind the cult, and she helped develop the framework that would form the group's courses and practices. Born on July 16, 1954, Nancy grew up in New Jersey and was a trained nurse with a background in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and hypnosis. So yeah, that sounds legit. NLP looked at communication, personal development, and psychotherapy, and the connections between neurological processes, language, and learned behaviors. The aim was to help increase the quality of life within individuals by understanding and trying to modify their behaviors and thoughts. Is that like a legitimate? I know hypnosis is like not, but is neuro-linguistic programming like a actual accredited, health system or health practice? I mean. That sounds like a made-up term as well.
It's probably made up.
Sounds right.
Anything with programming sounds made up.
Yeah, like computers. Am I right?
Well, we did make them up. You can probably already see why Nancy and a man with manipulative tendencies like Keith would align and get along. Along with the shared common interest in changing people's behavior and influencing people's thoughts, both were also known for being persuasive and charismatic. Ever since Keith read Second Foundation when he was young, these ideas of control had swirled around inside his head. When introduced to each other by a mutual friend, to the pair, it seemed like fate. Nancy was drawn to Keith's intelligence and ideas on the subject of personal improvement, and then on the other side of the coin, Keith saw Nancy's qualifications and past and knew she could be a valuable tool to implement his vision, and I guess give the cult, like the teachings of the cult, a bit more legitimacy. So yeah, that's probably why he like latched on to Nancy, because she knew about neuro-linguistic programming. From that point on,
after looking at that is a real thing.
Okay, so she was a legitimate like trained person, someone with science behind her. Interesting. What were you gonna say, Caleb?
I was gonna say, how does she like? Not how does she necessarily, but how do people who are smart, like she was infatuated with his intelligence, and they keep talking about his intelligence, and he's talking about the Mensa test or the Mega test. Mensa is like the legit one. Mega is like the neurodivergent version. Seems like of IQ test. And
you'd say that, wouldn't you? Because I did better than you.
No. How do so many smart people just do such stupid shit like create cults that will get eventually exposed?
Are you saying on Nancy's side?
No, he's talking about like on
Keith's side. I think just because like you have a high IQ doesn't mean you're that socially intelligent, right?
True. Yeah, EQ is different.
Right, but I don't know necessarily if your EQ counts towards your like business sense. Like it's all the stuff he's doing to make money initially, it seems, up until this point. So it's like, I don't know.
Are you saying that smart people can't be evil? Because time and time again, some of the most evil people are smart.
No,
I agree with him.
I'm just saying smart people shouldn't do shit like create multi-level marketing companies and cults. That seems like it's fairly obvious.
Like they're smart. They should be smart enough to be able to make money.
Yeah, it's like it's just very
legal avenues.
I mean, not only is it he should make money through a legal avenue. He was already forced to pay money from the state once for doing the exact same thing he repeatedly did again. It's like it just doesn't seem. Again. He seems insane, not intelligent. He just seems insane. But they keep talking about his intelligence. That's what it's confusing,
Well, I think we also kind of at some point confused like charisma for intelligence as well.
Yeah,
if someone has this level of confidence and charisma, I think people are more likely to just believe that they're like, intelligent and successful because you want to believe it, kind of.
Yeah. That's true.
Confidence does a lot. All right. How long's this one? I can take the first page and a half of this next bit.
Okay.
The foundation and beliefs of NXIVM. So now we're up to the NXIVM part of this document. So in 1998, Keith and Nancy founded Executive Success Programs, or ESP, another fucking stupid name, the entity that would later become NXIVM in Albany, New York. I always thought that it was a California cult. It seems like the kind of thing that would be a California cult because a lot of actresses were involved in this, as we'll find out. So I was surprised to learn that this came from New York. The name was inspired by the debt bondage contract NXIVM, I think that's how it's pronounced, NXIVM, in the early Roman Republic days. Basically, it was the legally recognized agreement where a debtor would pledge their own person as collateral if they couldn't repay a loan, making themselves a form of property to the creditor until the debt was paid off. Experts out there may notice this was a very subtle hint at the organization's true goals, which, yeah, if you're going to name yourself after the concept of basically
Stay
legal
tuned
slavery.
for a secret surprise.
Yeah, I wonder what will happen with this group called NXIVM. They may as well have called themselves like legal slavery. That's so strange. Anyway. Continuing on with the theme we have been touching on, the company was aimed towards helping individuals achieve more personal and professional success through overcoming their unique personal limitations and giving them an understanding of their desires and motivations. Who doesn't want that after all? Sounds good on the surface, right? Just like how all self-help jargon sounds good on the surface. This is a mission statement on the NXIVM website back in 2003. Quote, NXIVM embodies a set of consistent and universal principles in which all humans can participate. These principles, apart from any mystical or religious notions, allow for life to persist and uphold a diversity of beliefs. By creating a new understanding, we can actualize, I hate that word, we can actualize our potential to live and work together and consequently bring human existence to a whole new level. Yet this cannot be done without first raising human awareness, fostering an ethical humanitarianism, and celebrating what it truly means to be human. And this is our mission. What does any of that mean? That is all just
it's
words.
It's all nonsense, dude. It's all fucking nonsense.
Yeah, it's all
buzzwords.
Buzzwords. I thought this was kind of like a modern thing, like modern corporate thing, but if it was happening back in 2000, 2003.
These guys started that shit, it seems like.
Yeah, maybe.
They were forerunners, free thinkers.
Forerunners. The Promethean dumbass.
Where's Master Chief when you need him? We need to stop this.
Dude.
Finish this fight.
I need a weapon.
Prometheus dumbass.
I need a weapon.
Close to Master Chief. Though.
Here, let me do it. This is a good. I need a weapon.
Yeah, that was.
I'm a voice actor.
Maybe if Master Chief had been punched in the throat.
It's him, John Halo.
Oh no, it's Jimmy Rings.
Jimmy Rings. Let's go into more detail about the teachings and concepts within NXIVM, and just in case anyone wants to be indoctrinated by the teachings, to gain an understanding of how the cult worked, starting with rational inquiry. Which is a term. Developed by Keith and Nancy, rational inquiry was created to assist in finding and removing personal blocks and limitations. It would hypothetically allow the person to face their fears and weaknesses within the goal of creating breakthroughs and allowing individuals to move forward even further in their lives without these limitations.
This is just auditing from Scientology.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They've even got like, doesn't Scientology have like a 12-point success plan or whatever?
Yeah. Here, my dog just pooped, so I'll be right back. Just pooped in her kennel, so I'll be right back. But
that's his 12-step plan.
That's just Scientology, man. Come on.
Feed the dog lactose.
You know, maybe if he did better on his mega test, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, maybe he could have predicted when his dog would have its next bowel movement.
Maybe he could have known better. Yeah, exactly.
The company also had a 12-point mission statement that every member had to know, recite, and live by. This was their pledge of allegiance. So yeah, was I right there? Isaiah, does Scientology also have like a 12-point mission step? 12 seems like a big number.
That sounds right.
12-point plan, Scientology.
The bridge to total freedom.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I just feel like I had heard like 12-point plan or whatever in the concept of Scientology. Maybe it's more of like a self-help thing in general, but like the 12-step plan.
Probably. They have something called the bridge to total freedom, which definitely looks like a sort of chart you follow, but it looks kind of, it has like 2 columns, and then you have to work your way through the columns. It's a lot more than 12 points.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe it's not. I think it's just a general concept in self-help because I just looked it up and it's a thing in like alcohol addiction. So like the 12-step program.
The 12-step program. Yeah, like
Yeah,
AA and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what was getting mixed up in my mind. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a document here in our document, or a picture in our document on the 12-point mission statement by Keith Raniere, and it basically is just a bunch of gobbledygook about how people control the money, wealth, and resources of the world. It is essential for the survival of humankind for these things to be controlled by successful, ethical people. I pledge to ethically control as much of the money, wealth, and resources of the world as possible within my success plan. So it's just a lot of like self-help stuff. Probably
yeah, it's a lot of like
stuff
true
you say.
success is never at the expense of others. As a successful individual, I will never envy another's success. It's just like it is a dumb 10 commandments of sorts. It's just like, I will do this thing because it's good for me.
All right, how about this? This is how shallow it is. Here's number 2 on the 12-point mission statement. There are no ultimate victims, therefore I will not choose to be a victim. Like,
incredible. Inspiring.
Yeah, wow. Revolutionary, I see.
If you're a victim of something, simply don't be.
Yeah, simply don't be a
that?
victim. Stop being a victim. Yeah, great. Thanks.
I am committed
Keith.
to be successful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Why didn't I think of it that way?
Success is an internal state of clear, honest knowledge of what I am, my value in the world, and my responsibility for the way I react to all things. What a genius. While
Incredible.
living by the 12-point mission statement, students in the program were to purge themselves of parasites, dependent, manipulative, or morally weak people around them. Instead, they were told what they should strive to be and find others who were more self-sufficient and ethical, who were obviously all people within the, NXIVM organization. They were also taught within the group of suppressives, who were people that would try and ruin the progress and programs within NXIVM. So they were told, there's people out there, everyone who's outside of NXIVM are suppressives, and they want to stop you from being, who you were always meant to be, who you could be. They'll stop you from reaching your full potential. So, make sure you stay in NXIVM. Keith would preach that members who had turned their back against his teachings or the program went through something he labeled the fall and were now lost people. It goes without saying, obviously, but these were all tools to implement isolationism on the people in the cult so that the manipulations themselves would be more effective, something we've seen time and time again. When it began, NXIVM under ESP was quite successful. By 2003, nearly 4,000 people had taken classes and programs under Keith and Nancy. Each leader had their own titles, with Keith's being Vanguard.
Ooh.
Okay. That's a pretty cool. What would your title be?
If oh man, I was hoping you were going to ask me that. If we started
please.
a cult and I had to give myself a name, Alpha Fang.
It's a bit furry adjacent, but I
don't know what you're talking about.
I can work with it. Mine would be Master Chief. If we're going with the video game theming.
Alpha Fang is very cool and powerful, and I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, that's the name you use at Fur Fest. I could see that for sure. Those furry cons and stuff. Please call me Alpha Fang.
I would choose a name like the plague dozer. I'm just gonna keep giving 8-year-old like Xbox gamer tag names. Like,
oh yeah, Shadowbringer.
Yeah,
Fist. Something
tactical Reaper. That would be my name.
You gotta throw in some X's in there too.
Capital X, lowercase x.
Yeah.
Underspace 420.
I'm pretty sure that was literally my first gamer tag, was like little X, big X, little X underscore like Shadow Assassin or something.
Mine was Hotspot, and then my initials, and then the year I was born, because I knew absolutely
wow, you're giving away all your information.
Security.
Yeah, why don't you throw in your address too?
I was running around like playing Modern Warfare 2, like yippee woohoo, and everyone's just like all my legal information.
Yeah, here's everything you need to find me in real life.
It was an act of God. I never got like attacked.
Yeah, I always think about that as well, like how much unfettered internet access I had on those video games early on, and how many like adults I communicated with in that period of time, and how nothing bad happened, luckily.
Yep. So my name was Hotspot, and then my private information, and then I changed it when I was like 12 to Depth Scorch.
Ooh,
I thought that
I'm
was
back,
so
by the way.
cool.
That's a sick name.
What was your first username?
Thank you. What was
My,
your first Xbox
My
username?
first Xbox username pre-Xbox Live was Monkey Beast.
Let's go.
And then Xbox Live was Oompaville, and my first PC username was Glass Dagger.
Yo, that goes on.
Because you're fragile. You're fragile but dangerous.
Because I'm fragile but dangerous. Monkey Beast is sick.
Dude, we were talking because what brought it up is Keith called himself Vanguard within the cult.
Yeah, in the group.
Cringe.
And we were like, if you started a cult, what would your cult name be? So my first submission was Alpha Fang.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to me that sounds more furry.
What would you guys call me? I'll Isaiah, I'd call you shit. What would I call you? The Judge. I'd call you the Judge.
Yo, I like that. The Judge. That goes pretty
Judge
hard.
ain't bad. Yeah, I like that. Judge. And then Jackson, I'd call you Shuey.
Oh yeah, because Australian, I get it.
Or Barbie. How about I call you Barbie?
whatever Australianism you want to give me.
You like that?
I love it. Yep.
Caleb, I would call you either Chief.
No, I wanted to be Chief. I wanted to be Master Chief.
Okay, then I'm calling Caleb Hangman.
That's
way cooler.
Yeah.
That's way cooler.
That's way cooler. I'll take that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shoo.
All
right.
We were
Well, hold on. I got one more for Jackson. Big dick.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's
There
go.
we go.
Let's
Move
go.
on.
Hell yeah! If we're telling lies, I like that.
Long
Many
penis.
impactful businesses. I bends to the left _XXX69.
That's good.
Many impactful business figures reportedly took part. Hey, that's my nickname. Many impactful business figures reportedly took part in the courses, which only added to the apparent legitimacy of the company, attracting more important figures to the programs. So I've got some names here of some important figures, some big names. You might not know them, but they actually were big in the early 2000s. So we got Claire and Sarah Bronfman. Their father is like a billionaire. I think he's the chair executive of the Seagram group. Don't ask me what the Seagram group does, but apparently it's a big group. They've made. He's a billionaire, so
They got a ginger ale out there.
Do they actually? Are you joking?
Seagram's is a big ginger ale company. I'm not sure if they're related, but I tell you what, their ginger ale is delicious. It'll help you if you hurt belly. You got a hurt belly.
Would they make over $1 billion in ginger beer sales?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Maybe it is. Apparently, it's a Canadian. Oh yeah, you're right. No, it is. I'm looking at it now. So they're in the beverage industry. So they must be.
I was actually
company.
right.
Yeah, good shit.
That's rare.
We got Alison Mack as well, who was an actress on Smallville. We got Emiliano Salinas, who is, and this was the wildest one to me. He's the son of former Mexican President Carlos Salinas de Gortari.
What?
So we have a literal Mexican prince, I guess.
The Chelsea Clinton of Mexico.
Yeah. Kristen Kriuk and Richard Branson allegedly was part of NXIVM. Not confirmed, but allegedly. So now let's take a closer look into what programs and courses NXIVM offered these very influential and powerful people. Who wants to take these? Because
I want to take these. I want to take these so bad.
Get them, bud.
So first, we have the executive success programs. Their flagship program targeted at executives and professionals. This program could either take a 5-day or week-long course with the sessions lasting hours upon hours a day. This course was designed to allow the participants to overcome their personal and professional blocks, which would allow them to uncover their deep insecurities to push forward further in life,
allowing them to become the best executive or professional they could be.
But by revealing their deep secrets to Keith, they were also giving him the ammunition he needed to manipulate them. They would engage in role-playing, disguised as helping them practice what they were learning, but also subtly encouraging confirmation of Keith's values and beliefs. I'm excited for when this gets to just sex. When it just gets into they're all touching each other.
Because so far, this is literally just Scientology, to a T.
It's just an MLM,
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit more than MLMs are just financial.
It is
I
an
guess
in-person MLM.
Yeah.
It is an MLM summer camp.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
The stripe path ranking system. This was a system where stripes or ranks were earned by members within the program, which would be represented by colored sashes to show off advancements within NXIVM.
Wait, okay, so it literally is a summer camp. They're only
What did I say?
the stripes, yeah.
He's right.
What did I say?
Well-
And just like summer camp, someone is getting molested by the counselor.
Damn!
It's over.
Jesus.
That was a hell of a
You're in a
delivery
roll.
on that one. This guy's on a fucking roll.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
You know what? Just for that, I looked at my mega test again. You get to keep your mom.
Oh,
Oh.
that's
So you
Such a relief.
Jackson is still losing his, but
such
you
a
get to
relief.
keep yours.
Okay, okay, good. Okay. I feel better
I'm
about that
gonna call
anyways.
my mama, let her know.
Yeah. No. You could earn these by showing loyalty or completing tasks or programs and by recruiting others. It created a very competitive dynamic within the organization, and if you had a higher rank, you could enforce authority over those who were lower ranked.
It also gamified the system, and if mobile games are any indication, these types of systems are very successful at engaging the participants.
This was the original mobile game.
It's
Gotcha
the original
game.
mobile game.
Gotcha.
Next up, we've got Exploration of Meaning, or EM. These were one-on-one sessions, where senior members would question, in other words, interrogate the participant with the intention of helping them overcome their doubts and fears. Turned more into getting the person to emotionally depend on NXIVM for support and reinforce how the group was helping them heal and reinforcing the desperate need of
The group continuously.
information learned was later used to guilt trip the participants, forcing them to stay loyal to NXIVM.
Wow.
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding. And then after that, we've got Jeunesse and Society of Protectors.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get a bit a bit more nefarious.
Finally. These came a little bit later. The Jeunesse group targeted women in particular, and the Society of Protectors targeted men.
They were marketed as programs that specifically created discussions and exercises that fit around traditional gender roles and values.
While supposed to be empowering, Jeunesse would actually condition females within the program to be more subservient, especially towards Keith, while the Society of Protectors would encourage men to feel more control and influence over the women around them, particularly in the group.
Okay.
Dun, dun,
That's
dun.
weird.
It's a bit. I mean, it makes sense in the sense that this guy was obviously trying to condition women to have, a subservient relationship with him so that he could get sex and things like that. But it's a bit weird to tie like self-help in with that. Like, how do you tie making women subservient into them being the best version of themselves? It seems incongruent.
You've got to be a genius.
It's how they manipulate. Yeah, that's how smart he was. No, it's about how they manipulate it. It's like, well, the best version of yourself is servant to a man. Is like the way
traditional
he would
value
frame it.
roles are the best thing for you. Right.
Imagine you go through all this only to find out it's like some trad wife thing. Okay, so the last group was called Dominus Obsequious Sororium, which is immediately not good because Dominus means to control or lord over, and Sororium means women.
Women, yeah. So, I think it's like I think it's subservient society of women. Maybe I think that's what that translates to roughly.
Oh well,
Secret-
yeah. It's a first
Secret,
sentence.
I think. Oh,
Yeah, first sentence says known within NXIVM as master over slave women. Oh,
That's cool.
that's great.
That's a better.
cool.
Man, that's so cool. Whoa.
I'm gonna be real. That's the only name I've seen that I'm like, okay, that one sort of, has like a metal band type of feel, or like this could be a
Master over
band.
slave women.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Master
saying
of
I
a slave
condone
band.
it.
I don't think that would be. I don't think that would be a successful metal band.
You're saying this is the first time
Be
it
surprised.
feels like a cult instead of just like a really lame marketing group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Well, it started to
Yeah.
get there. Which Janus,
Janus, dude.
sounds like anus.
You put an
Sounds
A
like
there,
anus.
it's a fucking different story.
Yeah, Janus
You
itself sounds
put
a
an
bit
A
weird,
there, somebody's in trouble. Somebody's got a story to tell.
Somebody's gonna have to talk to their mom.
Somebody's got a few secrets that they're going to keep.
But Janus sounds like something that I could see as like a corporate group, kind of like a support group within a corporate entity.
Yeah.
But then Society of Protectors, that sounds like a hidden cult.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's
weird.
where it starts to get iffy.
Society
yeah.
of Protectors is pretty. That sounds like the name a group of like 9-year-old boys would make for their treehouse club.
For the
Mhm.
LARPing.
Protectors of
yeah.
the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Society of
women.
Protectors and women.
Well, it does show how juvenile and self-serving Keith's whole mindset was.
Yeah, well, it's literally
Yeah.
like, we're going to make a big club and all the women are going to have sex with me.
Yeah, how did he fucking get away with this?
His whole
This is
game plan.
crazy.
Well, we'll
It is
get there.
actually.
Okay.
I'm always surprised that this keeps happening. Like this
Yeah.
happens so often.
Always surprising.
Because I feel like all it would take is him like coming onto a woman once and her being like, "Whoa, you're weird. I need to tell someone about this immediately."
Well, that's why
like,
you
the
spend
police.
like a year doing the
yeah, it's more gradual. I know.
indoctrination
It's not like he's
first,
just going to go to someone and be like, "Hey, you want to join my Dominus Obsequious Sororium?"
That's like
Yeah,
a compartment. That's like the Spec Ops branch of fucking these freaks.
the Spec Ops branch of molestation.
Oh my god.
Look,
That's pretty good.
Keith may have been horny, but he was also patient, which is a dangerous combination.
True.
Oh yeah, that's the worst thing a cult leader can be, because that's how you
Yeah.
end up with the fourth out, like the drinking the Kool-Aid. That didn't happen within a week.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah.
a year-long, multi-year long, decade-long, manipulation process.
Yeah. So, known within NXIVM as Master over Slave Women, DOS was a secret subgroup within the organization meant to, quote, empower women through master and slave relationships.
Women within the group. I'm not laughing at how terrible
No,
the scenario
of course
was.
not.
I'm just laughing at the language of like, well, you're empowered by being a slave. That's,
Mhm. Those are seemingly contradictory uses of words in the English language there.
Laughing
was
at how
also just
transparent
like-
it was.
15 years early from just having a strange Tumblr account being accepted
true.
by thousands, right?
Oh,
Like,
true. Yeah, like
Yeah.
having a
Don't kink
daddy.
shame.
What's it called?
Just like a
daddy dom.
BDSM
Yeah.
thing, and it would have been whatever, yeah. Women within the group were instructed to act as slaves and were at the mercy of their master.
hierarchy was rigid, and the slaves had to obey those above them.
In order to join, the women had to provide collateral to ensure their silence. This was often in the form of nude photographs of themselves. DOS was solely women, with only one male at the top, Keith. We'll dive a bit more into DOS later, as it was where a majority of the offending took place, unsurprisingly.
So to go back to what you were just saying, though, Isaiah, I was just thinking, like, dom relationships, BDSM has been a thing, forever.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that's a fetish that's been a thing forever. He could have easily found people that were willingly, able to, partake in that relationship with him consensually, but where he found his satisfaction is obviously in,
Exactly, yeah.
manipulating people
Yeah.
into doing it.
Yeah,
without
the
consent.
And making
Tumblr
money.
comment was a joke. It's very clear that it wasn't just the sexual role play
fetish.
part that got him
Yeah,
off.
it's the
It was
power.
the actual abuse of
Yeah, it's the
people.
power,
Yeah,
yeah.
understood.
And money, being able to, if we scroll down a little
And the
bit,
money,
you can
of
see the
course.
fucking, he was on Forbes in 2003. That's unbelievable.
Wow, we were just talking about Forbes.
And as we know, anyone who's on Forbes
had to
is
suck cock.
a monster.
Yep. To get there. They had to suck a penis to get there for sure.
Only way
Isn't
to get
that
that
right?
reference.
Isn't that right,
It's gonna
Jackson?
look- It's hey, that's my understanding.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. That's what I've heard.
I'm not taking it back.
You don't have to. I agree. I'm on your side.
So we're
All
going to
right.
start this summer camp together.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's gonna understand what the fuck we're talking about.
That's fine.
Isaiah, was it a cult?
Was it a cult? So, in 2003, NXIVM sued a man called Rick Ross. The Rick Ross? Or
I don't think it's the Rick Ross.
sued a man called Rick Ross, a deprogrammer and cult specialist. A former member had given copies of their training manuals to Rick, who then went on to publish them on his website, annotated with critiques. This caused NXIVM to sue Rick, with the accusation being that he violated copyright law.
Rick, under the Ross Institute, argued that the use of the materials was protected under fair use as they had only use.
Short excerpts for critical and educational purposes. Rick was analyzing the practices within NXIVM and was trying to educate the public on its potential cult-like behaviors. The court ended up ruling in favor of Rick, deciding that his use of the materials did fall under fair use and, in the ruling, put a big emphasis on freedom of speech and public interest. Man, it's wild that fair use laws have been happening forever. Sometimes in my head,
Before
it's
you,
just
you
a
only
YouTube
think of it
thing.
in YouTube.
I only think of it
concept,
in YouTube brain
Yeah.
rot terms,
Mhm.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a good thing that it's existed for as long as it has, because obviously things like this would be abused otherwise.
He who has the most money controls every single thing that's ever said.
Which is still true, but you just have to be more clever about it nowadays.
Yeah, and martyrs do exist now, though, too. You know, there are still martyrs.
True. He was only 5 years into operation, and NXIVM already had cult accusations, not just by Rick, but Forbes also wrote an article in October of that year about the fact.
The article was titled
Cult of Personality, written by Michael Friedman. It highlighted the concerns around the group's practices, noting Keith's past of owning an MLM company. He criticized and discussed the cult-like structure of NXIVM and former members' already public accusations of the manipulation and exploitation they experienced in the organization. The article actually featured a man named Edgar Bronfman Sr., a billionaire who owned the Seagram Group, whose daughters, Sarah and Claire, were heavily involved in NXIVM,
providing a large amount of funding themselves.
Edgar outright said in the article, "I think it's a cult," and confirmed that he hadn't spoken to his daughters in months.
That's crazy.
Case closed. Yeah, imagine a billionaire coming out and saying that, like, holy shit, guys, I think this is a cult. like even a billionaire is like a victim to this, basically.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it touches everyone.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Jesus.
So on that note, this is where we get into the rough part of it, right? This is where it begins.
Yeah, this is gonna start to get a bit.
I think we should give it to the person who is by far the most respectable, level-headed, definitely won't laugh at any of the details member of the group.
Go ahead, Jackson. I'm just
kidding. You know who I want to
We already touched on the cult structure itself, but it's time to really explore what was happening behind closed doors. In particular, the abuse of members, the abuse that members suffered under the hands of Keith. Firstly, oh my lord, I cannot even believe it. I thought I'd be able to do this completely, but you
are 1 sentence in. That's incredible.
Set me up, Isaiah. You set me up. You set me up.
Don't worry, you can do
Caleb.
it. You can do it.
Now, would I do such a thing to you, my dear friend?
What does the mega test say? What does the mega test say?
The mega test says, actually, you are cringe and I am base. That's what I'm sorry. I'm just reading off the answer key. I apologize.
Firstly, let's go back to the DOS, Dominus Obsequious Sororium, a phrase that means master of the obedient sisters in Latin. Allegedly for women's empowerment, we know that this group was more about forcing women to become slaves for their masters through a strict hierarchy. Women didn't just submit nude images as collateral when entering, they also told personal secrets and financial information, providing anything that they could to be used by their masters or Keith if they stepped out of line. He may have been the charismatic leader in the cult itself, but here in DOS, truly, Keith was a god emperor, a fact he was keenly and enthusiastically aware of, hence the naming scheme harkening back to the Roman Empire. Yeah, that's crazy that he was let to get away with that naming scheme.
He's
that
just lopping.
Bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a fucking douche.
Yeah, what a fucking dick. Fuck this guy.
Yeah,
what a bad man.
You know what? Controversial take here. I don't like him.
Fuck this guy. This guy's a fucking dick.
Only brave statements on this podcast.
Even before the abuse and stuff, just for the naming convention, it's so douchey.
I'm heavily against
Dominus
this guy.
Obsequious Sororium.
Yeah, bro, shut up, dude. What the fuck? The women in the group were made to feel inferior, and they were forced to rely on their masters for everything, creating a relationship of necessity and worship. No actions or services were deemed off the table as to be a slave. They had to commit to the role with everything. Some slaves themselves had slaves, creating some sort of sick pyramid scheme as the women would also recruit new members into the subgroup. Above everyone was Keith, the ultimate master. His ideas and ideologies and control would flow down through the pyramid, even though many did not directly interact with him, except during the frequent times he had sexual relationships with the women as a part of their personal and emotional growth. That is an insane sentence. He had sexual relationships with women as a part of their personal and emotional growth.
You can just tell how he would
What the
conduct
fuck?
it as well. He probably did this shit. I'm pretty sure he did this stuff outside of just the DOS. I think the DOS part of this was more of the sub-dom relationship thing, his fetish there. But even outside of that, I'm pretty sure he still like manipulated the women into having sex with him under the guise of, you know, this is obviously going to be better for you in terms of like your emotional and personal development. Yeah.
What a fucking dick. It was posed that being sexually servient to Keith and doing what he wanted was important to prove one's loyalty. Thus, the sexual abuse became normalized and rampant in the group. Yeah, it's like, at first it doesn't really make any sense, and then the more you learn about a character, it's like, okay, it's just people are falling into line around this guy. It doesn't matter if people are referring to him as intelligent. There's some kind of trait or something that this guy's fucking got. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how smart he is.
I think you touched on something there where it's like a groupthink element where you're more scared to step out once you're indoctrinated into a group setting like that. It's much harder to break away from the group and start thinking independently. And I think a lot of obviously cult leaders and stuff are keenly aware of that fact and utilize it to their benefit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of psychological phenomena and syndromes where people are like, you know, incapable of escaping even something clearly negative or horrible for their own.
We see it in like the bystander effect as well and stuff. Like people who are, you know, aware that something bad is happening, but they're able to justify them staying out of it because someone else will take care of it or something like that.
Eventually, Once you were in, there was no real way out. The collateral that the women had been pressured into giving would be used as blackmail to make them stay, and the threat of realizing whatever it was they had given, nude images or personal information, would be used to ruin their lives.
It was releasing whatever it was that they had given.
Right.
Just so people know.
Yeah, Soviet style, just control of information to keep people in line and keep people listening and acting in the exact same way that they're expected to. This in and of itself, handed over in the pursuit of self-betterment, would keep them servient and obedient. One of the most infamous aspects of DOM was the branding ritual. Apparently, being branded was supposed to be empowering. It wasn't, of course. It was simply a humiliation ritual designed by Keith to see how far he could push his slaves, each new depraved act giving him an additional burst of a sick and depraved pleasure. They were branded with Keith's initials, a symbol that showed his ownership over them. It was performed with a hot, cauterizing pen and was very painful and traumatic for those who endured it. That is fucking insane. The dude got his initials.
Yeah, branded on them with like a hot rod. Basically what they do to cattle.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
In an article with CBC, a former member named Sarah Edmondson described what it was like going through all of this. At first, she explained that she was helping recruit new members and advertise ESP, even helping them with the process of opening new branches and offices. It changed when she was invited to a secret offshoot group, which we know as DOS. She flew to Albany with 4 other women for their initiation, where they were invited into a private condo. She handed over nude photos and written confessions as her collateral, and was initially told that she would receive a dime-sized tattoo. It was here that Sarah and the other women were branded on their stomachs. So they were even lied to about what they were going to...
they were constantly lied. Even in this... Which is like, it goes, as far as I understand, the whole sub and dom relationship is meant to be in a healthy situation. There's obviously meant to be no lying, and you're meant to be very upfront about what you're doing and things like that. So the fact that this was even born from the start as lies about stuff, I mean, branding is just insane. That is just like next level insanity and lunacy in of itself. That's crazy.
They were forced to kneel naked and read a script that began with, "Master, please brand me. It would be an honor." Sarah did not know until a month later that she had been branded with Keith's initials, originally being told that it was going to be the 4 elements. She was horrified and disgusted that she was branded by this man who felt that he owned her. Sarah left the entire organization less than 3 months later, and when she went to the police, they ultimately concluded that they could not help her because they believed that she had given consent. Oh my God.
Given consent to being branded? Is that even a thing?
That's fucking crazy.
Well, okay. To play slight devil's advocate, she was cool, according to this, at least the way it's worded, she was cool with being branded by Keith. She just wasn't cool when she found out it was his initials, right? So, on the police's behalf, for one, it'd be hard even if she said it was all forced upon her to prove it, because, witnesses and stuff like that.
But also, if she was cool with every part of it, she just wasn't cool with what specifically she was branded with.
Yeah.
I don't really see how the police could prosecute based on that.
Is it like, is it legal to brand someone even with consent?
Probably.
I mean, yeah, people get branded. People get
That's
branded.
crazy.
Yeah.
I would think it would count as like body mutilation.
I've seen people
or
get
something.
married and get the other one's like initial branded on them.
That's crazy, man.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I got
I'll pass.
I'll pass. But
Yeah, you stick with the. I'll stick with the
That's a bit
wedding
much.
ring. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's keep it
yeah,
simple.
that's fine.
She said, we were looking at each other at the beginning and we had surgical masks on because the smell of burnt flesh was so strong. It's fucking insane.
Ugh.
There were 8 first-line masters within DOS. Some of those, such as Allison Mack, who was an actor on Smallville, were pretty famous. She had attended a 2-day introduction course on JNS, which served as an introduction to Keith, and this resulted in a snowballing effect that led to her becoming a high-ranking member in the organization. She helped create a program called The Source, which would actively try and recruit other actors. Apparently, she became second in command within DOS and later interviews admitted that the idea of branding was her idea. Holy fuck.
Whoa.
That's crazy. Also, the idea of recruiting other actors, obviously that's something that Scientology also does, is because it gives it an air of legitimacy, and also these people are influential, wealthy people, so it's good for the organization itself. To me, the most crazy thing about this is that it seems like he had 4 other people there for the initiation. He must have been so confident at this time that nothing bad was ever going to happen to him. To be doing this so publicly within the organization, with like it was so widespread within the organization that there were other people, a lot of other people that were obviously okay with this. This DOS element, like the branding and stuff. That's wild.
If those within DOS were disobedient, they were then subjected to punishment. This was all designed to increase their dependency on their masters and the group, and the women were isolated, humiliated, and made to perform forced labor. They were also made to follow very strict diets, some only on 500 calories a day. That's fucking ridiculous as well, as there was a big emphasis on losing weight and being perfect. Not only did this cause psychological strain, but following unhealthy diets would have made many physically weak and ill, which would have added to the already difficult act of defying those with power.
Yeah, that's another strategy we see often in these cults. Very, very small amounts of nutrition being used to keep them weak and obviously.
I mean, this also just generally exists in a lot of abusive relationships as a whole, like between like spouses or kids.
Withholding food that's like a pretty defining trait.
Yeah.
This was paired with the constant humiliation and degradation, forcing women to talk about their flaws and sins, stripping away their sense of any worth and confidence they may have had. Masters within the DOS were told to direct their slaves to be sexual with Keith. These were almost like assignments. This later came up in trial while talking about Keith's attempts at sex trafficking. The slaves were often called racial slurs and awful derogatory terms to humiliate them, and had to be on call for their masters at any time of the day or night, interrupting their sleep and causing many to become sleep deprived. Punishments were a regular thing, and the members being forced to whip each other or hold painful poses or expose themselves to the elements. NXIVM didn't have a traditional compound either. Instead, many high-ranking NXIVM members, including those involved in DOS, resided in Albany, New York suburb of Clifton Park. The neighborhood became an informal hub for NXIVM, with several members living nearby in houses or townhomes, often in close proximity with one another. The arrangement allowed for close supervision, regular communication, and control over members' daily lives without the need for an official cult-like compound. In DOS, members were expected to be available to their masters at all time, regardless of where they lived. Interesting.
Yeah, so they ring a bell or they text you or whatever, and you have to come over immediately. Like you've had a hard 9 to 5 day at work doing whatever you're doing, and then you get home and you've got to work the second shift basically for fucking Keith.
That sounds fucking terrible.
Good.
Caleb, I just want to say you read that entire thing and didn't laugh once, and I'm so proud of you.
I also read it on one breath as well.
That's incredible.
That's how I prevented myself from laughing, was not having enough breath to laugh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's my new theory.
You're so brave. You're so brave.
I shouldn't have admitted that, but that's actually what I've been doing this entire time. It prevents me from laughing when I don't.
There's two There's 2 paragraphs left in this section. I apologize. Well, don't mess it up now.
Keith would groom and sexually abuse women and young girls as well. It came out later in trial that he had managed to convince multiple women that by having sex with them, they could heal their... Hold on. Oh my God.
Yeah, you can't.
That's like the worst possible place ever in the entire world. Dude, you fucked me so good.
I got it. I got you so good. I threw out that strip.
You fucked me.
This is so dumb.
I threw out that spike strip and you ran right over it.
I ran right over it.
Just full speed.
Holy shit. I plead not guilty.
Oh, man. Yeah, for people who haven't seen, if anyone's coming on this first episode, you seem like a monster right
I do.
now.
I seem like a terrible fucking person. This is a repeated, this is a thing, though. I have a terrible...
Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
Affliction. He was born with an affliction.
Keith would... Oh, my God.
I can hear you rumbling over it.
No.
This is an insane sentence, though, what you're about to read. It's like
horrible,
so cartoonishly stupid.
Oh, no. Hold on. I didn't even see this part. He would say that his semen contained supernatural qualities and believed that there was nothing wrong with sexual assault, child sexual assault, and also incest. It was uncovered in the
his semen was like healthy. He's saying
magic,
it like provided health benefits.
Magic.
You
He's
missed
not
the
even
line though.
Evil. He's like magically evil.
Yeah. So he convinced multiple women that by having sex with him, they could heal their disintegrations, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah. What the fuck? What a fucking freak. It was uncovered in a Times Union article in 2012 that Keith had at least 3 sexual relationships with minors. One was only 12 when he met him while he was 30. When she met him while he was 30, he invited her over for tutoring and to walk their dog. This led to a repeated process of sexual abuse at the hands of Keith. Dude, fuck those fucking parents for one. That's crazy. Yeah. How is that even a thing? Bruh, that's
no clue.
Insane.
His whole DOS secret group and stuff, he literally could have been a Discord mod in the current year. Like, I think if he was born a few decades later, with his whole, he's giving me, Discord fetish, Discord kind of vibes. Very, very weird.
Freak. There is so much more to NXIVM, it's impossible to fit it all in. There is the alleged research into trying to treat Tourette syndrome and the human experiments where they were forced to watch extremely disturbing footage, such as people being murdered while someone monitored their brain waves and facial and auditory responses, and so on. The abuse inflicted upon people at NXIVM by Keith and his fellow cult leaders is almost endless, but it's almost inconsequential to add every single act of abuse inflicted over the many years, just because I guess there's so much.
So many different cases, and I think what we've talked about so far has been kind of all-encompassing of the theme of all the other abuse anyway, so it'd be just kind of like torture to just go over every single finer detail. We get the idea, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I can take the missing persons if you want.
Yep.
So, or the suspicious deaths, I should say. So,
the deaths of 4 women have been speculated to be linked to NXIVM and Keith. While no official charges have come out, it is still worth discussing as the extent of the rest of Keith's crimes make the accusations substantial. The 2019 documentary, The Lost Women of NXIVM, also explored and investigated the suspicious deaths of the women within the organization. So the first one up is Kristen Snyder. So Kristen disappeared in February of 2003. She was an environmental consultant and a member of NXIVM from Alaska.
Year prior, she had paid $7,000 to take part in a 2-week ESP course hosted by Nancy Salzman.
And when she returned to her parents for Christmas, she expressed how, quote, incredible Keith was, and when questioned, she did not listen to any possible criticism her parents had about him. Keith had apparently been keen to mentor Kristen himself, and she began to try to prevent herself from sleeping as much as possible, as apparently Keith, the Vanguard, didn't sleep either. As time went on,
Kristen was walking around like she was on the verge of a mental breakdown.
Kristen became convinced that the Columbia space shuttle that disintegrated and killed 7 people was her fault, and she became suicidal. According to a Frank Report article, Kristen was pregnant before her disappearance, with the father of the baby being Keith, though this is unsubstantiated.
Jesus.
Kristen was last seen at a NXIVM seminar where she was kicked out due to disruptive behavior. The next day, her vehicle was found at a campground with the door unlocked and 2 reported suicide notes on the passenger seat. One of them reading, I attended a course called Executive Success Programs, aka NXIVM, based out of Anchorage, Alaska, and Albany, New York. I was brainwashed and my emotional center of the brain was killed and turned off. I still have feeling in my external skin, but my internal organs are rotting. Please contact my parents. If you find me or this note, I am sorry, life. I didn't know I was already dead. May we persist into the future. And then a second note that read,
No need to search for my body.
NXIVM has denied the claims that Kristen was pregnant. There are questions on whether or not her death was a suicide and the strange nature surrounding it.
I mean, regardless of if they were directly involved in her disappearance and or suicide, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, she was last seen at a NXIVM seminar where she was kicked out due to disruptive behavior, and these people, like, she felt a sense of belonging and obviously a connection with these people. She had been brainwashed by them, basically. So she was kicked out and abandoned by them, and she was already probably severely mentally ill and vulnerable. That would have driven her to suicide. So even if they didn't directly do it,
yeah, it's easy to say they were the reason. Even if they didn't do it, they were the reason she's dead.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Man, that one note's awful. Like, I have feeling in my skin, but my organs are rotting.
Yeah, it's very sad. Just
heavy.
even just the idea, like the last letter, just being no need to search for my body, just very, very sad.
The next woman is Gina Hutchinson. Gina was one of the first women that became involved with Keith. They met when she was a teenager. She was also an ardent follower of his and his teachings, involving herself within the company heavily. She died of an apparent suicide from a gunshot wound in October of 2002 at a Buddhist monastery in Woodstock. Her family believe, unquestionably, that Gina was manipulated and emotionally destroyed by Keith and NXIVM, and he had groomed and controlled her from a young age. Gina had apparently been going around and telling people that she had been sexual with Keith
When she was only 14 years old.
which is something Keith did not want her talking about with people outside the organization, thus the implication of Keith being involved in her death. So the idea is Gina was talking about Keith sexually abusing her when she was 14, so he had her killed, made it look like a suicide.
Yeah, I think it's believable. I mean, this man's going around sexually abusing
I don't think there's a lot I would put past him. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just so tragic. People from such a young age thinking that,
Looking for self-betterment, some answers, being so vulnerable, looking for answers in their life and coming across Keith, who is perfectly poised to take advantage of them. The worst person imaginable for their current situations.
Being
very
convinced
sad.
that someone that's that, evil is that good for them in reality.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they had more people around them. It sounds like they were obviously very alone. And didn't have the right people around to guide them onto better paths. Also, just the fact that so many of the women in his life have died or otherwise committed suicide, that's obviously pretty indicative of something.
Yeah. And then finally, Barbara Jeske and Pamela Kafritz. So 2 women by the names of Barbara and Pamela both died of cancer in the years prior to Keith's later arrest. Barbara in 2014 and Pamela in 2016. Apparently, they were suffering from their illnesses. Keith refused to let them seek traditional medicine and care, and he would instead offer alternative treatments. He would instead lay blame of their illness at their purported emotional failings.
Even with the medical neglect, there are a few strange aspects to their deaths.
According to an article in 2019 in the New York Post, they had unusually high levels of bismuth and barium when tested after their deaths. Heavy metals revealed from a hair test lead many to think they had been poisoned, especially since Keith would handle all of their treatments, and we know that they were all on strict diets and routines. It's not official, but many think it's possible.
I wonder.
I could see that.
I wonder if he did it out of potential, like even more sick pleasure, because he obviously thought he was God. He thought he was a godlike figure, as most cult leaders do. I wonder if he thought like it was an element of more sexual pleasure, like pushing the line even further to like directly kill someone. If he was
there's no greater control you can take over another person than to take their life.
Yeah,
right. So it could have just been an extension of that.
or if it was like a situation like Gina Hutchinson where they were starting to talk or something.
Yeah, or maybe like since they were both ill, they were like determined to leave the group, and he couldn't let that happen because they knew too much. So he had to make it look like they died of their
cancer. Who knows?
Yeah.
So finally, downfall and imprisonment. I can still take this one if you want.
Yeah,
sure.
It's not that long. Cool. So, downfall and imprisonment. Keith Raniere was arrested in March of 2018, and he was formally charged with an array of crimes: sex trafficking conspiracy, forced labor conspiracy, racketeering conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, and attempted sex trafficking of a minor. The trial lasted 6 weeks and was held in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York.
Prosecution was led by U.S. Attorney Richard P. Donahue,
who argued that Keith used NXIVM as a front for criminal activities and manipulated, abused, and exploited members for his own personal gain. They made arguments that NXIVM was a pyramid scheme, as Keith had a prior history of experience with the concept, and they alleged that he had created the secret inner circle groups of NXIVM to satisfy his sexual and financial interests. On the other side,
Keith's attorneys argued that all of the members participated voluntarily and every relationship or sexual encounter was consensual.
Keith was just a misunderstood guy,
No,
visionary that his followers willingly stood behind. Former members came and gave testimonies against Keith during the trial, including Sarah Edmondson and Lauren Salzman, Nancy's daughter. They talked about the abuse they experienced at the hands of Keith and how controlling and manipulative the man was. They described in excruciating detail about how they were forced to stay loyal up until this point. The branding on their skin was shown, evidence enough of the torture they endured.
Emails and text messages, over 200 pages of emails,
also entered discovery during the trial, and these documents directly showed the tight vice Keith had on all the members. All of his finance records were also presented, and it confirmed that Keith would manipulate fundings and his connections to prominent backers. Everything came out in the open, and the public eye, the public eye and Keith at this point had no way to hide or manipulate.
So there's a sketch of Keith awaiting hearing day. It's one of those typical court like pictures, the court drawings. I always love these pictures of the defendants looking so fucking like scared and miserable. It always makes me a little bit happy knowing that they likely went through a torturous experience in of itself at court, like squirming under that kind of pressure and stuff. It doesn't make up for what they did, obviously, but it is nice to know.
Sure, but it's nice to see him not in control.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Some of the messages between Keith and women within NXIVM have been publicly released in a Forbes article since the trial. He is talking to a woman, Camilla,
who was apparently his first sex slave and met when he was in his 40s and she was only 15.
This dialogue, while graphic, is possibly the best insight into Raniere.
I don't think it's super graphic. We can go over it though. It's not super.
Kayla, would you like to be the child?
Absolutely.
Or the?
No.
All right.
I don't think she's a child at this point because she's married or something.
Where are we at exactly?
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Right here where it says.
Gotcha.
Where it's the dialogue starting.
Okay.
Right here. So you're Camilla.
Probably don't voice act it.
I won't. Don't
I
worry.
feel like that's probably insensitive.
Yeah, I won't.
Oh, don't throw your voice. You mean?
Yeah.
Don't act like it. Yeah. So, this is the conversation between the two. You don't hurt enough or desire me enough. Postulate wise, you need to feel better, more strongly, and be more desirous of me in every single way compared to anything with R.
Yeah, I'll note there that R is her ex-boyfriend, or I guess her
Yeah.
boyfriend at this time.
Okay, I thought I did.
Doesn't seem that way. For example, you do not crave me sexually.
Still you.
Oh, yeah. That was especially needed during the past 24 hours.
What does that have to do with R?
Sex. It is not only shared by us as a thought object. There's subconscious evaluation, comparison, and postulates. It is very destructive. We really needed you to want me sexually yesterday and earlier.
What the fuck?
Why are you still protecting what you did with R? Why won't you face this in yourself so things can get better?
Can I ask, what does postulates mean?
to think on, to ponder.
Ruminate.
Okay.
So what he's saying here is he's trying to frame it as like, well, if you don't tell me about your sexual history, and also you don't want me sexual, you're never going to get better.
Yeah, you need to
So-
you need to have sex with me and talk about sex and
You need to have
desire
sex with me to feel better.
You need to
Yeah.
desire me to be better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers you're looking for. I'm sorry.
Please find them now. Ask yourself those questions. Visualize what you did, how you made those decisions, and see the future evaporate.
Also, see yourself being the type of person you don't want to be.
It should deeply disturb and disgust you. I hate to be so crude, but it will build your conscience to strongly see our little child say,
What the fuck?
strongly seeing our little child saying, please, mommy, don't, as you, that our child saying, please, mommy, don't, as you spread your legs and picture that child withering as you do and truly get that's what you did.
Whoa.
What? What does that even mean? What? Death penalty.
It will, just shoot this guy.
Yeah, what the
Death
fuck?
penalty,
It'll be-
please.
It'll build your conscience to see our child saying, picture that old withering.
Is he saying like your future child will be ashamed, like you'll disappoint your future child by not being the best version of yourself by giving yourself sexually to me? Is that what he's saying?
I think he's saying that our future child wouldn't want you to not give yourself sexually to me. So,
So
Yes,
spread
I
your
think-
legs for me. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
but picture our future child.
Negative
Ugh.
Riz, at the
Yeah.
very least.
Negative.
Whoa.
So true, King. Do you have physical desire?
Can emotional be enough?
If you want me to come tonight, I will under these conditions. There will be no talking. You will meet me at the door in the outfit you think I would find sexiest. You will arouse me. We will make love for my satisfaction and pleasure. You will do everything you can to provide that. I will finish and leave. Do you agree? Yes or no?
Is there a reason why you picked 4 a.m. for this?
Forget it then.
Oh, he's pouting. Oh, poor baby.
No.
Raniere.
It's
Oh.
3:45 a.m.
Then,
Why no talking?
good night.
I don't understand what's going on.
Too much pride. I'll text you tomorrow.
What a
What a
fuck
fucking
this
horrible
guy.
person. This is insane.
Yeah, he's insanely evil. But what's kind of comforting about these figures, because you think sometimes there are people who like,
Maybe not necessarily like demon possessed, but they seem like a deep, deep evil, right? Like Jim Jones, figures like that, right?
but when I hear about this guy, like I see his text, like what you said earlier, Jackson, he just comes off as like a Discord predator.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
so fucking weird. Like, it doesn't seem
Like he has way too much clout.
he doesn't
yeah.
seem
Yeah.
intelligent. He
That's-
seems
that's
like a
what-
narcissistic.
dummy. He seems like a fucking dummy, dude.
Yeah, like that whole like I will come over, you will wear something that you think is sexy.
Yeah, I'm
like,
imagining
what?
him like
Tips
wearing a
fedora.
fedora.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tips fedora,
Literally.
scratches neck beard.
He thinks of himself as like the Chad in all those BDSM fetish
Yes.
videos that he watches. Like he's like, yeah, that's totally me.
And-
I'm
and
alpha
plus,
as
like,
fuck.
He's speaking like the way a 13-year-old boy thinks sex works, where it's
Mhm. Yes.
like I will come over, you will wear sexy outfit. Like it's so juvenile.
Well,
you
that's because
know?
this is all like the his male fantasy of control and stuff like that, as opposed to
Yeah.
like an emotional connection between two people. It's all
Yeah.
for him, for his satisfaction. He's a stunted. He is absolutely like a stunted, overprivileged, like perpetual 13-year-old boy, basically.
Yeah. Raniere referred to himself as Camilla's husband, though the two were never officially married. So that explains this, where Raniere says, again, this is to Camilla, it is such a painful, bittersweet thing, the truth of our life together that could have been made real, yet now us forever, a secret and nullified. I love you so much. I am so proud to have been your husband for 8.75 years and shared a home for 4. Yet I am also so heartbroken.
Love bombing. That's a
Love
obviously.
bombing, yeah.
Although Camilla suffered from bulimia, Raniere would harass her about her weight, wanting her to weigh 100 pounds or less.
That's
So again,
45
more-
kilograms or less for my fellow,
no
correct
one cares,
thinkers out
Jackson.
there.
So this is Raniere talking. Raniere, please answer the 3 past questions. Also, for more questions to be answered right now, what have you done today for this? Have you failed today or done anything against your objectives? What are you doing towards them this moment?
What have you done today that was difficult in the name of love for me?
I have not eaten, and I am dedicating all of my free time to you, either reading or communicating to figure it out. I have not indulged in anger.
Sounds like a start.
Is there anything else you would want to ask of me?
What I've already, and as I've said, figure out each thing you destroy and fix each one. You need to list them because there are a good number. How much do you weigh?
I don't know. I think 120.
Why did you gain?
Sorry.
Oh, you were 113?
Lack of exercise during intensives.
You need to eat less. The extra weight hurts my heart physically when I am with you.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Wow.
sure
By the
he looked
way-
great. I'm sure he was like the embodiment of
He's
physical
also like a body
perfection.
shamer on top of everything
He's
else.
everything evil. Oh man.
By the way, how's your weight?
I don't know. Why do I look fat?
I'm sad then because it's important to me.
To not know is to not care enough.
I disagree, but I will weigh myself for you.
How much do you weigh?
I do not
Oh
know.
my god.
That's really bad considering. Weigh yourself now.
130.
So how long will it take to lose 30 pounds?
2 months.
Should be much quicker. Needs to be
Dude.
much quicker.
I fucking hate this man.
This guy fucking
Is
sucks.
all of my look at
What
a
a
picture
loser.
of him, by the way, and this guy is the one like shaming them on their appearances and stuff. Fucking nerd.
All right, so we're now
How
we're
was
now
this
to the
guy
end of this case.
like this is I get that this is like after all the manipulation and stuff, but like I just can't imagine this guy as charismatic at all.
It's just about knowing how to manipulate people. That's all this
Yeah.
comes down to.
I
Just like how to talk people into like getting them to open up, thinking you have a connection, and then eventually convincing them that you are the reason for the positives, the good things that come out of their life, that they can't operate without you.
I'm just lamenting that he even exists. It's just my way of coping with the fact.
I mean,
that
if you can effectively convince someone that they cannot function without you, you can say whatever you want to them, regardless of how terrible or monstrous. Because the alternative is nothingness. Is like
True.
the going back to the unknown, their life falling apart. That's how these people get it.
Yeah, I remember my first girlfriend back in like high school. I probably had that same mindset towards of like I would do anything for you. Please don't leave me.
So
Stuff like
imagine that,
Yeah.
only like
With an actual manipulator.
yeah, like, and also in the sense where like you're now in an adult age where all of those like child wonderments that kind of surrounded that are gone. So now
Yeah.
everything seems more objective, like it's factual this time rather than emotional.
100%.
Yeah,
I can go over this outcome if we want.
sure. Take us out, Jackson.
All right, so Keith Raniere was found guilty of all charges after just a few hours of deliberation and was sentenced to 120 years in prison without the possibility of parole. I just want to... That's a good sentence. That is actually pretty
It's
good.
a pretty good one, yeah. Normally
Barring-
it's like they
barring
get a
death.
slap on the wrist, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, barring death, I'm happy with that. He wasn't the only one charged and sent to prison as well. Alison Mack, one of the high-ranking members of NXIVM and fellow master in the DOS subgroup, pled guilty to racketeering and racketeering conspiracy regarding her role in recruiting other women, enforcing branding, and collecting collateral used against the members to keep them servient and loyal. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison in 2021. There's that slap on the wrist. She apologized to the victims in court and expressed her deep regret for her actions. Yeah, I mean, if she's instrumental in this, spreading trauma to other women, that's a very light sentence in my opinion. Nancy Salzman, the prefect, which is what she was like the second in command, basically, pled guilty to racketeering conspiracy and admitted to assisting in the monitoring of information gathered on enemies, in quotation marks, and former members. She was sentenced in 2021 to 3.5 years in prison. Her daughter Lauren was obviously close to the group through her mother and became actively involved and was another master within the DOS. She pled guilty to racketeering and racketeering conspiracy, and during the trial testified against Keith. Because of her cooperation, she received 5 years probation with no prison time served. I don't know.
She kind of reminds me of like Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
The
and I feel
procurer?
like
Yeah.
the procurer, yeah, the administrator. I
Mhm.
feel like she should have been given like 20 years. I would have
Mhm.
been happy with something like that. 3.5 is very lenient.
And a punch right to the face. I
Yeah,
feel like that
honestly.
should be normal. Just getting punched in the face. If you get, like, you know how if it's over a year or whatever, you go to a prison instead of just a regional jail. If it's
Punch time.
yeah, exactly. Every 5 years, you should just get punched in the fucking face once.
Yeah,
Why?
punch day every December 13th.
Every
someone comes
five,
over and punches you.
dude, I'm talking every 5 years you get on your sentence, you get punched once when you leave the courtroom after your
Oh,
sentencing.
right.
Yeah,
No, I'd
So
be fine
30
with it being
years,
like a
you just
yearly
get
thing.
6 punches to the face.
yeah,
Why not
exactly.
just make it a yearly thing for that sentence?
Or
fine.
that's true,
I like
yeah.
that.
That's actually a good idea. A year, yeah.
You walk out of the courtroom and there's just a good old boy there in a pair of overalls like, it's your appointment, mister. Come on.
Like
Come on up.
the new version of the guy who greases the electric chair or whatever the fuck.
Yep. It's the equivalent of the hangman, the gallows
Yeah.
officer standing there, yeah. But he's just like got a dip in.
Yeah,
It reminds me of like
Reminds
up
me of the
until
Simpsons
recently, I think they do lethal injection now.
They could still do it, but up until like the 80s, Russia's execution method was a gun.
And not like a firing squad. Like it was
Just
a
a
guy
normal
with a
gun.
revolver that shot you in the back of the head.
Fucking cowboy.
So the way they would do it is there would be a room where the person to be executed's let in, and there's just a guy standing in there in a t-shirt holding a gun. Just like, and you kneel down, he just shoots you in the back of the head.
No hood or anything. He's just there.
No,
smiling,
just like
hey.
chilling out. Just like on his way on a lunch break right now.
I'll be your executioner for today. I'm great.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those guys, but it's just for a punch. I could see
Yeah.
you doing that job, Caleb.
Yeah, I could.
I'd be a great puncher.
The punch man.
Punch man.
Have you ever punched a man before in your life, Caleb?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, sweet. You'd be good at it then.
yeah. I mean, I was in jujitsu for a long time, and we would fight with fucking. It wasn't like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it was Japanese jiu-jitsu. But we
Yeah.
would beat each other up with headgear and stuff. And then, yeah, I also punched.
So you're good at it. Sweet.
I punched your mom. I'm sorry. I'm
nice,
sorry,
that's
dude.
the mega
Your
test.
mega test score
Yeah.
just
Mega
went
test
way up.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, no, isn't that
Way up.
Your mega test score just went way up.
Leave my mum alone. We haven't
I'm sorry.
touched much on Claire Bronfman, but she was one of NXIVM's main financial backers and provided a lot of funding that allowed Keith to have the control he did over the organization, and it also allowed him to actively intimidate and silence enemies through lawsuits. So this was one of the women with the billionaire father.
Mhm.
She pled guilty to charges of conspiracy to conceal and harbor illegal aliens for financial gain and fraudulent use of identification, which I guess goes hand in hand with trafficking.
Yeah.
These charges involve bringing non-US citizens into the United States and forcing them to work for NXIVM under illegal circumstances. The individuals she brought in depended on NXIVM for legal status, which increased their vulnerability and allowed the organization to exert control over them. She was sentenced to 81 months, just under 7 years in prison. That's a substantial sentence.
Mhm.
Throughout the trial, very little remorse was shown from Claire. So I wonder if that's the difference. Like maybe the people that showed no remorse were sentenced more severely. I guess
well,
that's usually the
it's
case.
also just dependent on the nature of the crime
crimes,
itself.
yeah, the
Because
charges.
Nancy's was like conspiracy of racketeering,
Yeah.
whereas like Claire here was like
Bringing in
illegally
illegal aliens.
importing people from overseas, and like it
Yeah.
carries a greater sentence. But the remorse can go a long way sometimes. But in cases as intensive of this, I'm going to guess not that much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure showing remorse is a mitigating factor, but it depends on the severity of the crime. 100%.
Yeah.
And we also have Kathy Russell, who was a bookkeeper for the company, not so much involved in the activities around DOS, at least from what was divulged, but more of a financial operations agent of NXIVM, as she would assist in covering up illegal activities herself. She pled guilty to visa fraud and admitted to also bringing in illegal immigrants into the country to work for NXIVM as well, and she was sentenced to 2 years of probation and no prison time. This trial was understandably explosive. Former members discussed in detail the branding rituals, the starvation diets, and the humiliation and abuse they endured, along with the DOS abuse. Keith will hopefully be in prison forever. Again, big thank you to my girlfriend for compiling the research and writing this document.
She's such a G, dude.
Trooper, dude.
Yeah, she's really good. She's great. I did see some messages being like, "Oh, gee, I hope Jackson's girlfriend gets paid for this." Obviously, she gets paid for this. I'm not Keithing it in this house.
Why?
Yeah.
Who does that?
I knew you guys were gonna.
Are you supposed to pay your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's part of the dating thing. Ask my wife if she gets
she's been
any
doing
money.
horrible stuff for free this whole time.
My girlfriend is about 80% of this operation, so she deserves it 100%. So big thing.
Yeah, Jackson's actually the one at the end of a leash. He's the one who's not making anything.
Yeah, I'm like, please. I don't want to do this anymore. She forces me into this room. So she said Keith will hopefully be in prison forever, and I obviously agree with her on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think this resonates with women more than men, but I mean 100% agree with that.
They resonate pretty hard in that I don't like this guy.
Yeah, I don't like dickweeds like this.
Yeah.
I think it means something different to women though to see their agency kind of controlled in this way. It definitely would be more confronting. Some members of the cult stuck by Raniere. Oh man. How? Even after the conviction, with members like Nikki Klein, a fellow actor and inner member of the DOS, launching an activist group called We Are As You, with the goal of, quote, and this is their mission statement on their website, reminding those in prison that they are not forgotten. So they turn it into like a more broad activist mission, but obviously it's a group within the NXIVM organization that goal is to remind to spread awareness of what's his name, Raniere. The members, ever performative, danced outside of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where Raniere was detained, while they used the hashtag Black Lives Matter hashtag on their social media platforms to attempt to latch onto that movement for traction. Oh my god! You can't get much more performative
is their
than
account
that.
still up? Hold on.
I think so. From what I checked there when I was editing this document and compiling everything, I'm pretty sure I checked the Instagram, and the Instagram was still up.
Oh my gosh, it is. This is great.
I don't remember checking if it was still active, but it was definitely still up.
Last post was 2022.
Okay, that's still recent. I mean, it's only 2 years ago.
Yeah, just the Christmas of 2 years ago, and then they quit posting. They have 1,000 followers. Instagram bio: transcending the walls that separate us by embracing our shared humanity, showing up to remind those in prison they are not forgotten.
Hate them.
It's great. Wow.
Klein, this woman who set up this movement, let's call it, she herself has a verified Twitter account where she uses it to advocate on his behalf, and has done so up until very recently, which I guess is probably the end of 2022 when she swapped sides, basically. Mm-hmm. The Times Union has documented that this also included an alleged threat to publicly identify Raniere sex trafficking victims who were themselves granted anonymity by court order. I'm so happy I said that word right. That's always been my holy grail of words. I always fuck up that word. Anonymity. See, fucked it. Jesus Christ.
Anonymity.
Well, I had it once. I'm happy with that. She was also, up until very recently, selling NXIVM merchandise.
Yo,
I wonder
man, if the money wasn't going to her, I would get one to be ironic, but I don't want any one of these monsters actually making money off of it.
What did the merchandise look like? Let's have a look. Okay, it's boring. It's just the word.
Is it just the logo?
Yeah. There's a Vanguard Volleyball League shirt that I'm looking at right now with Raniere's face on it. That's super weird. Anyway,
I can get a knockoff one. Yeah, it's literally just the shirt.
Yeah, lame. She has since publicly disavowed Keith Raniere in a public statement that is still pinned on her Twitter account, but many are wary of her at this point, given all of her outbursts and insane, vile stuff she's talked about regarding the victims and stuff.
That seems
So,
more just like
who
a
knows?
covering her own
Saving
back
face at this
situation.
point. For a lighthearted end to this episode, here's a fun anecdote. Oh, and it's got to do with punching. That's cool. According to NBC News in 2022, Raniere was attacked by a fellow inmate who punched him in the head, face, and he suffered from a black eye swelling, nausea, and dizziness for more than a week while in prison. And my girlfriend notes here, he must still be the same insufferable douchebag in prison as well. And that's going to do it.
Really good information. That's a great ending.
That is a great ending. Yeah. Very, very well compiled, this document. I feel like that told the entire story and it ended on a lighthearted note. So, thank you very much for joining us. Do you guys have any last-minute words about NXIVM? I feel like we covered it all.
Fuck Keith Raniere. He can suck it.
There we go.
Yeah, what he said.
Fuck
what
that guy.
said. I agree with him. That guy must have a big mega score. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
How much would you pay right now, Caleb, to punch Raniere in the face?
How many times? Once,
but you get to do it as hard as possible, like as hard as you want.
Shit.
Oh, you can double fist it too. You can go back to like right hook and then left hook if you want.
I would max out all my credit cards for that. Definitely, because it's like not my money, so I wouldn't feel so. I would just pay it off monthly.
Right.
I would max out all my credit cards for that easily.
I think that'd be worth. Now, do I get to film it because the money goes up a lot if I can make content?
Big money, dude.
Big money.
That's that YouTuber mindset, baby. I would probably.
That's that entrepreneur spirit.
Yes, sir.
I'd probably pay like $10,000 to see it happen. Good. But I wouldn't want to punch. I'd want to like hire someone to do the punching, and I'd choose like a heavyweight or something, someone who I know can do substantial damage. I wouldn't want to waste that money on my punch. Basically, is what I'm saying.
That's true. Yeah. Could I kick?
Yeah. Yes, sure.
Ooh, I would do that. Ooh. Yeah.
You could kill someone with a well-placed kick.
Yeah.
You can also brand him with your candy company logo if you want.
Okay.
I'll let it slide.
You'll allow it?
He'd only be advertising to fellow inmates, I guess, but still worth it. That's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you guys all found it interesting. Very dark episode, but you guys have been asking for darker topics and more substantive topics, so I hope you guys got something out of it. I think we did a very good job at going over all the details. If there's anything we missed, please let us know in the comments.
I do just want to point out, because I pulled it up, it's so funny. So going to Nikki Klein's Twitter account, again, her pinned in like most recent tweets about like, I no longer stand by Keith Raniere or which legitimacy of it, blah, blah, whatever. It's just really funny to imagine someone being like, honey, who was the girl in that show we were watching last night? I think, hold on, I found her Twitter.
Let's see what she's talking about. It's an insane ranting about how Raniere was bad, actually. Yeah, crazy. Fucking... Do you want to shout out your charity again this week? Go for it.
Oh, yeah, the Appalachian Rebuild Project. If you're interested in checking it out, it would really mean a lot. There are people who are still considerably soggy, and we are trying to make them less so. So check that out if you're interested. Much appreciated, all the love.
Linked in the description. I think a lot of people showed their love and support last week, so obviously very appreciative of that for helping out that effort. It's a great effort. A lot of people in need of that help, so thank you. It'll be linked below, so you can go check that out, as well as obviously not a charity, but sour.gg for Caleb's candies and things like that.
I love how it always gets thrown in there.
I got to
appreciate
it.
You know what? Take the charity money, give it to sour.gg.
No, not again. Stop
I already said
that.
it. Dude, she was in Battlestar Galactica. What?
Yeah, she was. A lot of them were. A lot of the actresses
wild.
in here were.
That's an A-list show.
Smallville as well. We already said that, but yeah, Smallville.
Yep.
Patreon.com/theofficialpodcast if you want early access to episodes, ad-free content over there, as well as the new series called Real Boys I'm doing with my friend Connor, where we review movie series, so you can go check that out. It's on the YouTube channel as well. We'd appreciate the support there. A lot of people enjoy it, so you might as well if you like movies, so go check that out. And official.men for other stuff like that. Thank you very much for supporting Red Thread. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Stay red. Bye.
Stay red, stay thread. Stay threaded.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
No, you didn't have a
Bye.
catchphrase, Caleb. Oh.